Well, hello again, and welcome to another edition of the Speed Bag. Today, a little segment that I like to call, Can We Agree to Agree Just This Once? So it turns out that the industry redefining announcement we were promised was, as expected, the formation of a fighters association. Yes, another one. This one, the MMA Athletes Association, or the MMA for short, has some pretty high-profile fighters behind it. You got George St. Pierre for legendary status and quiet dignity. You got Tim Kennedy for military metaphors and red-blooded American passion. You got Donald Cerrone because somebody has to get out there and talk about riding this darn old thing until the wheels fall off, boy, I tell you what. Then you got Cain Velasquez and TJ Dillashaw because, you got to fill out both ends of the weight spectrum. Now, I don't know if the industry was redefined. Seems to me that all the existing terms meant pretty much the same thing on Thursday as they did on Tuesday, but this was a significant announcement despite some potential problems. Like former Bellator CEO Bjorn Rebney, who seems out of place and downright suspicious standing next to these other guys. And then there's the fact that we don't know how they're going to accomplish all the things they want to accomplish because they kind of went to great lengths to avoid telling us. Then there's the fact that we don't know who's financially backing this because they won't tell us. But forget all that for one second, just to recognize something that matters, which is that this whole conversation has changed. Even 2 or 3 years ago, all the talk around a fighters association or a fighter union or whatever you want to call it, it was completely different. People used to talk about it like it was just some far-off hypothetical. The conversation used to be based around whether it was even a good idea or not. Now, it's not so much whether it should happen, it's just kind of like when and how. And that's a good thing, because fighters do get a raw deal most of the time. The stuff that the MMA Athletes Association was saying about, fighters taking greater risks for less reward than pretty much anyone else in pro sports, that's true. Based on our best estimates, they don't get a fair cut of the UFC's revenue. They enjoy very little and sometimes almost no protections in terms of, employment, insurance, pensions. They have no say in stuff like Reebok deals or USADA testing. There's no way that having a functional association with collective bargaining power will not improve their lives. Even guys like Cowboy Cerrone and Tim Kennedy, who are ideologically as opposed as you can be to the idea of unions in other industries, they recognize the need for one in the one that they work in. And so do most of the fans, at least the ones who care enough about the fighters who they enjoy paying to see. Yeah, you have some outliers, right? You got the fans who somehow relate more to billionaire owners than they do to the fighters who are actually driving the sport. I don't get that, but it happens. You got some of the fighters who, even though they would benefit from a fighters union, still talk about it like they think it's a terrible idea or they want to curry favor with the UFC by at least saying they think it's a terrible idea. But still, this is as close to consensus as we ever get on anything in this sport. So we should recognize that. Now we're no longer arguing about if fighters should have an association. Now we're arguing about when and how and who. And that's a significant change. Although the problem is that, like the most meandering pound-for-pound discussion, that is an argument that if you're not careful, can just go on and on and on.